Mr. Speaker, enormous deficit spending by this Prime Minister caused the Bank of Canada to hike its interest rates for the 7th consecutive time this year. An average mortgage will cost Canadians an extra $7,000 in interest payments alone. This Prime Minister's reckless spending has already driven up the costs on gas and groceries, and his failed energy policies will make home heating costs double. He'll further pile-drive Canadians financially when his failed carbon tax increases this year. Why won't the Prime Minister stop his wasteful inflationary spending, axe the failed carbon tax so Canadians can keep the heat on this winter and food on the table?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives are nothing if not at least consistent. They continue to ask us to stop being there to support Canadians. They oppose the child care agreements that we signed with the provinces, child care agreements that we're enshrining into law with legislation we're bringing in today. They oppose the dental support for low-income Canadians to make sure that kids have the best start in life possible. They oppose the rental supports that we move forward to deliver for Canadians. They stood against the kinds of supports we were flowing to Canadians through the dark times of the pandemic. We will continue to be there for Canadians and remain fiscally responsible, because that's what Canadians expect.
Well, member for Calgary, Forest Lawn.
Mr. Speaker, it's easier for this Prime Minister to sit in his ivory tower and blame everyone else and spend even more of Canadians' money to cover his own inflationary mess. His inflation tax is going to cost Canadians an extra $3,500, according to the Governor of the Bank of Canada. He is the architect of sending 1.5 million Canadians into a food bank, 500,000 of which were children. He's responsible for 1 in 5 Canadians skipping meals. He keeps failing, and Canadians continue to be on the hook for it. When will he understand Canadians can't afford any more of his failures and just want to eat and heat their homes?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the Conservatives say they stand with Canadians, and then they stand in opposition to measures that ensure that Canadians can send their kids to the dentist. Then they stand in opposition to measures that will give families who pay a large amount of their low incomes on rent to get an extra bit of help. Then they stand against and continue to stand against child care fees that have been cut in half across the country, that is not only giving opportunities for kids to get the best start in life, not only supporting parents when the cost of living and payments are so high, but at the same time ensuring that our economy grows as people participate fully in our growth.
Member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister continues to keep his head in the sand when it comes to people's home heating bills. You know, someone from my community reached out to me recently saying that they had to make the tough decision whether to pay for their Fortis home heating bill or to buy groceries. He chose to heat his home, even though the bill went from $46 a month to $163 a month. And he said that now he has to go to a food bank just to feed himself, the same food bank that he used to donate to. So why is the Prime Minister tripling down on increasing carbon taxes for everyday Canadians who can't even heat their homes now?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I've heard from Canadians right across the country that they are facing difficult times. We know how important it is to be there for Canadians, which is exactly what we are doing as a government, despite Conservative politicians opposing that. We're there with dental supports. We're there with rental supports. We're there with cutting childcare fees in half. I was just in the Honourable Member's province a few days ago to make an announcement on the fact that childcare fees have been cut in half, saving families hundreds, even thousands of dollars a month. We will continue to stand with Canadians despite Conservative opposition.
The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fior. Mr. Speaker, Canadians woke up yesterday morning with news that borders on nightmarish. The Bank of Canada announced an interest rate increase, the 7th of the year, thanks to the Liberals and their inflationary spending. For a family with an average mortgage, that's $7,000 more in interest per year, and their house isn't even heated yet. We know that the carbon tax applies to home heating. Will the Prime Minister cancel this tax so that Canadians don't get cold in their own homes this winter? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we are all concerned about the rising cost of living for Canadians. But on this side of the chamber, we are delivering assistance to Canadians. The Conservatives can continue to oppose it. We have come forth with dental supports. rental supports. We are providing more affordable daycare spaces across the country. We will continue to be there for people, despite the fact that the Conservative Party continues to vote against all of our measures to help people. The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fior. It's quite ironic that Liberals say they understand the misery of Canadians when they allow themselves to give $32 billion in benefits to dead people and prisoners. What we should understand is that in Canada, we face winter temperatures that can drop to -45. Record cold temperatures are expected. It's not a luxury to keep warm in Canada in the winter. Can the Prime Minister make a commitment to do the only honourable thing he can and cancel his carbon tax so that Canadians can heat their homes?
Le très honorable Premier ministre.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, it's incredible to see Conservatives attack the assistance that we give Canadians. He just made fun of the emergency benefit we provided during the pandemic. It provided direct assistance to Canadians, to businesses, to Quebecers, to Canadians across the country. It was essential not only to make it through the pandemic, but also to ensure that our economy would rebound quickly. We were there for Canadians despite the position of the Conservatives and will continue to be there to support people. The Honourable Member for La Prairie.